You know, you hear this term thrown around a lot, disruptive innovation. Well, that's exactly what technology has become in our schools. It's this huge force that could totally change how our kids learn. We're talking personalized lessons, endless information at their fingertips, and classrooms that aren't even inside a building. But, and this is a big but, it also opens up a whole can of worms. New problems with privacy, safety, and what a good education even is anymore. So let's really dig in and try to figure this out.
So it really all boils down to this one question. Is technology in our schools a star student? You know, the one who aces every test and just opens up all these new possibilities? Or is it more like a problem child, causing all sorts of new distractions and dangers that, frankly, we're just not ready to handle?
And look, if you think this is some small niche experiment, think again. To get a sense of just how big this is, look at this number, 3 million. Right now, about 3 million kids in K through 12 are already doing some kind of online learning. So the revolution isn't coming, it's already here, and it is massive.
All right, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll step inside the virtual classroom. Then, we'll ask if Big Brother is watching in the hallways. After that, we'll talk about Facebook and social media. And at the end, we'll put it all together and give this whole thing a final grade. Okay, so let's start with the whole idea of the virtual school. Ever since the mid-90s, K through 12 online education has just exploded. It promised to completely change the way we think about a school day, but the real question is, does it actually work? Is it a good way for kids to learn? What you have here is a classic tug of war. On one side, you've got this incredible promise of learning that can happen anytime, anywhere, totally customized to each student's own pace. But on the other side, there's this nagging worry that we're rushing into this so fast that we might be sacrificing quality and maybe even fairness. Now, the people who are all for this, they'll point out that a lot of studies show that online learning can be just as good as being in a regular classroom. I mean, just imagine, you're a student in a really small town and you want to take AP Physics, but your school just doesn't offer it. For that student, or for a kid who needs to make up a credit, or a gifted learner who feels bored, online school isn't just a nice option, it's an absolute lifeline. And it teaches them how to learn on their own. But, and this is a big but, the critics have a major point, and it's summed up perfectly right here. We're adopting this stuff at lightning speed, way faster than we can actually study if it works in the long run. To put it another way, it's like we're building the plane while we're already flying it. The skeptics are saying, whoa, hold on a second. There just aren't enough solid long-term studies. And a lot of the research we do have, it tends to focus on the best-case scenarios, like super-motivated, college-bound students. Plus, the data can be kind of tricky. High dropout rates can get hidden in long trial periods, and what one school calls a success might be totally different from another. It's all over the map.
And yeah, when you look at the data, the picture gets even more complicated. Check this out. One study found that kids taking math online actually did better than kids in a normal classroom. But for science and social studies, it was the total opposite. They did worse. So it really seems like, does it work? Might depend a whole lot on what you're teaching.
Okay, let's shift gears now. We're moving from the virtual world back into the physical school building itself, because there's another piece of technology that's popping up everywhere and raising some really tough questions about safety and privacy: surveillance cameras. And, surprise, surprise, we've got another huge debate on our hands. Are these cameras a must-have tool for keeping our kids safe? Or are they a massive invasion of privacy that doesn't even have the proof to back up the promises?
The argument for cameras is pretty simple, right? They're basically a second set of eyes that doesn't cost a fortune. You think about those spots that are tough to supervise all the time, like parking lots, hallways, school buses. The idea is that cameras can stop kids from messing around and give you evidence if something does happen.
But the case against them is just as strong. First off, there's actually no solid proof that cameras cut down on school crime. A lot of the time, the push for them comes from a feeling that schools are unsafe, not from actual data. And the risks? They are huge. In one case, a school in Tennessee accidentally streamed video of students changing in the locker room live on the internet. Then there's the whole problem of mission creep, where cameras put in for safety suddenly get used to, say, monitor how teachers are doing their jobs.
So for any school that decides to go down this road, the experts say there's a right way to do it. It's all about being transparent and setting clear limits. You got to justify why you need them, only put them in public spots, definitely don't record audio, and you have to follow privacy laws like FERPA. And of course, you need to tell people they're there with signs and have a clear, written policy for everyone to see.
Okay, for our third and final debate, let's talk about something that's already a massive part of every student's life: social media. The big question for schools is, should they get in on the action and start officially using platforms like Facebook and Twitter?
And, I mean, the context here is just impossible to ignore. A Pew Research survey found that a whopping 73% of teenagers who are online use social media. This isn't some fringe hobby. For a lot of students and their parents, it's how they talk to each other. It's just life. So, should schools meet them where they are?
And here we go again with that classic trade-off. On the one hand, social media is this amazing, practically free tool to get information out to everyone instantly. But on the other hand, oh boy, it is a total minefield of legal problems and potential bad behavior.
The upside is pretty clear. Just think about a snow day. It's so much easier to shoot out a quick update than to rely on expensive newsletters sent through the mail, right? It's a great way to share news, post photos from the school play, and connect with the whole community. And for teachers, it can be an awesome way to connect with other educators and share ideas.
But then you flip that coin, and the risks are no joke. A lot of these sites aren't even compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act. They can really blur the lines between teachers and students in a bad way. They also create a whole new playground for cyberbullying. And maybe the biggest issue is that the laws around what you can and can't say online, they're still kind of the Wild West. It's really murky.
All right, so after digging into virtual classrooms, surveillance cameras, and social media, what's the verdict? If we had to give technology a report card for its performance in school, what would it say?
You know, when you lay it all out like this, a pretty clear pattern starts to show up. With every single one of these technologies, there's a huge potential benefit that's being weighed against a really serious risk. Virtual schools give us amazing access, but we're not sure how well they work. Cameras give us a feeling of safety, but they cost us our privacy. Social media makes communication a breeze, but it's a legal and ethical nightmare.
So at the end of the day, this really isn't about being pro-technology or anti-technology. That's not the point. It's about being smart. It's about being thoughtful. The whole challenge is finding that sweet spot, that delicate balance between grabbing all the amazing potential technology offers while carefully avoiding the very real dangers that come from just jumping in without thinking.
And that really leaves us with the most important question of all. Look, technology is here and it's not going anywhere. It's going to keep changing what a classroom even is, probably in ways we can't even imagine right now. So the challenge for all of us, for parents, teachers, everyone, is this. How do we write the rules for this new world? How do we make sure we get all the benefits while making absolutely sure we protect the kids who are at the heart of all of this? The answer to that, well, that's going to shape education for generations to come.